Ever since childhood, you've been told one rule: debt is evil. Cancel your credit card, pay off your mortgage as quickly as possible. Become debt-free. This advice sounds safe, it sounds sensible. And that's exactly why it's meant for slaves. The Matrix has deliberately programmed the middle class to be terrified of debt in order to maintain a monopoly on the primary tool for creating wealth. Look at the numbers. The poorest people in the world have no debt because no one gives them loans. The middle class has debts that are suffocating them. But the elite have billions in debt, and these debts only make them richer. It's a paradox that defies conventional thinking. If debt is so bad, why do the most powerful corporations and architects of capital borrow endlessly? The answer is simple. They use completely different tools that just happen to be called by the same word. To understand how to hack the system, you need to see the difference between toxic debt and architectural debt. Toxic debt is a noose you voluntarily put around your own neck. It's a loan for a new car that loses 20% of its value the moment you drive it out of the dealership. It's a phone installment plan to look like you have status. You take someone else's money, use it to buy an asset that depreciates, and give up your future time to pay back that debt with interest. You take on 100% of the risk, and the bank gets a 100% guarantee of your labor. In this transaction, you're just a battery. Your toxic debt is someone else's asset. Every time you pay interest on a credit card, you're literally transferring hours of your life to the account of the system's architect. You're financing their empire while destroying your own. Now take a look at the top of the pyramid. The elite use architectural debt. They use the concept of OPM, other people's money. The architect borrows $1 million, but he doesn't use it to buy liabilities. He buys an asset, real estate, a business, or systems that generate cash flow. And this cash flow doesn't just cover the interest on the loan. It generates a net profit. The architect doesn't spend his own money. He makes the debt work for him. The risk is shifted to the system. If you take out a loan for ATV and lose your job, you're bankrupt. If a corporation borrows $1 billion to acquire a competitor and goes under, the system bails it out because it's too big to fail. Architectural debt is leverage, and those with the longest leverage are the ones who move the world. But the real secret of debt lies in taxes. It's a fundamental flaw in the Matrix's code that they'll never teach you in school. If you work harder and earn more, the system punishes you with high taxes. If you sell your successful business, the system takes a huge chunk through capital gains tax. So how do billionaires live in luxury and avoid paying taxes? They don't sell their assets, they take out loans against them. Debt is not income. Debt is not taxed. The elite borrow millions against their stocks or real estate at a negligible interest rate and live off this money completely tax-free. They have created a legal money printer that is inaccessible to those who simply trade their time for a paycheck. The Matrix scares you with inflation. To the average person, inflation is a thief that burns through their savings in the bank. But to the architect, inflation is their best ally. When you take on architectural debt to purchase an asset, you lock in the debt amount in today's money. And 10 years later, thanks to inflation, you pay off that debt with devalued, cheap pieces of paper. Inflation literally eats away at your debt. The system pays off the loans of the rich on its own, devaluing the labor of the poor. But the harshest reality of the debt architecture is realizing whose money you're actually borrowing. Do you think that when a bank gives you a mortgage, it's giving you other people's savings? That's an illusion. Thanks to the banking multiplier and the fractional reserve system, the bank literally creates this money out of thin air the very millisecond you sign the contract. They printed the numbers on the screen with the press of a single key, and you will give them real years of your life, your sweat, your stress, your health, and your energy to pay back those drawn-up numbers with real interest. This is modern alchemy. The elite turns digital thin air into your physical reality. To keep you hooked, the Matrix has implemented a perfect gamification system. Credit score. People take pride in their high credit scores. They flaunt them in public, viewing them as a measure of financial success. But this is a trap for the ego. Your credit score is not an indicator of your wealth. It is an indicator of your compliance. It is a metric of how profitable you are to the banking system. A high score simply means that you are an ideal, predictable battery that reliably transfers its life energy to the architect's accounts without interruption. It is not your medal for success. It is simply a price tag on your collar. The true architects of capital have their own secret code, the ultimate strategy for preserving empires across generations. A formula you'll never hear about in the financial news. It consists of just 3 words: buy, borrow, die. Buy, borrow, die. They buy up premium assets. They borrow endlessly against these assets to live in luxury and tax-free for decades. And when they die, the matrix crashes. The assets are transferred to heirs, and their tax base is legally reset to 0. Debts are paid off, and taxes on the multi-million-dollar capital gains simply vanish. The matrix gets nothing. The empire enters a new cycle. You can't win the game if you don't know the real rules. Stop fearing debt. Start understanding it. Stop being a source of liquidity for the system. Stop buying liabilities with other people's money, and start buying assets. The paradigm shift begins here. Subscribe to Silent Asset to become an architect. And remember, the Matrix has already sent you the bill. It's time to pay.